Live now. Okay. Hold on.
I think we're live.
We are.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to the Working Wednesdays broadcast, season 3. My name is Tanya DeFreitas, and I'm your guest host this evening. I'm excited about the conversation that I'm going to have with the founder of this amazing platform in Ibg Publications, the one, the only Audrea V. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We're going to wait just a few more minutes for more people to hop on, like, comment, and share. More importantly, like and share the broadcast, share the post so we can get more viewers on tonight, because we're going to have an amazing discussion. Let's see, let me pull my screen up, make it a little bigger. Oh, that's not working. Anyhow, Audrea, you want to wait a few more minutes, or you want us to just
yeah, let's give it a few minutes. I'm sharing myself now, so okay. Let's give it a little bit more, a few more minutes.
All right, I'm sharing as well. Come on in and join the discussion.
All right, I'm good.
Thank you to those who are joining slowly but surely. We are just giving a little more time for other viewers to hop on so that you don't have to go back and replay, and you can catch the live and in action candid conversation tonight. Slowly but surely. All right. We should have some music, and I didn't think about having some music playing for our waiting period.
I didn't either.
That's okay.
All right.
Once again, welcome to the Working Wednesdays broadcast. This broadcast was founded by the lovely Audrea V. She is the CEO and founder of Ibg Publications. We're going to be talking to her tonight. She's the birthday girl. So this is a special presentation as we launch season 3 of this amazing series and platform. And so we want you to share, invite someone else on, tune in, turn your speakers up, and engage. Feel free to comment as we are discussing some very amazing and exciting things that Audrea has going on tonight. All right. Audrea, you looking fabulous, birthday girl. This is 46. Is this 46?
Yes, this is 46.
This is 46. 46 is looking amazing.
Well, amen. I said last week or week before as a joke, I'm not a day over 25.
I know that's right. with just 46 years of experience.
Right.
That's all. Yeah, the experience, but the youth and the mind frame and the ability to enjoy life.
Yes.
Still 25.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, we're going to dive in. Once again, I want to welcome all of you, those who have tuned in and those who will be tuning in to the Working Wednesdays broadcast. This platform has candid conversations about business and books and ministry. Audrea V. is the founder of this platform, and she is also the founder and CEO of Ibg Publications. We're going to let her tell you what Ibg stands for, what it's about, how it was birthed, and we are focusing on Audrea today. She has spent several years, with this platform interviewing authors, business owners, especially entrepreneurs. So a lot of small business owners, up and coming business owners and ministry leaders, sharing their gifts with the world, highlighting them and focusing on them at no cost, no charge. And so tonight we're going to highlight her. we're going to focus on what she's doing, projects that God has had her working on, the accomplishments over the years, and overcoming different trials and tests to be where she is today. And God has so much more in store for her. And we want to honor her. This is her birthday month. Her birthday was just a couple of days ago. So happy birthday again, sis. And thank you for allowing me to be the guest host. Speaking of me, I didn't even say who I am.
Right.
My name is Tanya DeFreitas. I just jump right in. I get so excited. But my name is Tanya DeFreitas, and I am your guest host tonight on the Working Wednesdays platform. I am a self-published author, international best-selling. I'm also a publisher. So Audra and I work closely together in the publishing world. We help each other in the business arena. We refer people back and forth, and we're dear friends. So I'm excited at this opportunity. This is my second time serving as a guest host on this platform. So I'm honored to be back, and I am looking forward to everything that we're going to cover tonight. So again, thank you for joining us. We're going to hop right in. And Audra, I want you to tell our viewers what IBG stands for and what inspired you to birth IBG Publications.
Well, IBG stands for Inspired by God Publications. So what gave me the idea to birth this is actually, it came from God about, oh Lord, when I start counting, I know it's been 15 plus years. So if you can calculate back to 2003, that's when the Lord gave me the vision for IBG Publications. He actually told me Power to Wealth Enterprises, and that it will be a business umbrella. And we know the Bible says in Deuteronomy 8:18, the Lord thy God has given thee the power to get wealth. And so Inspired by God, it actually started off as Inspired by God, but it evolved into IBG over the last 3 to 4 years. So we shortened it. But it is just simply, we help authors to become published. You could be a published author. We assist you with rebranding, because a lot of authors jump out there, they just want to get their book done. And so sometimes it's not up to quality standards. So they come to us, we assist with rebranding, social media strategies, coaching. Those are all the things that we offer under the umbrella of IBG. So we primarily publish, but we also have our Ibg Development School, which last year when you were on, we launched at my birthday last year. And so starting last year, I told myself I would give myself a new stream of income every year. And that's what I have done even this year. We'll get to that next stream of income when we get to it. But last year we birthed the Ibg Development School, which has classes for authors. Our most noted class on that particular platform is the Jumpstart Your Author Career course. And that particular course is designed to help authors get their book developed, strategize for social media marketing, and then also branding themselves as an author. So that's one of the courses, but we also have life enhancement courses either on there, just different things that we offer to help everyday people take their personal life to another level. So that's another thing that we offer under the umbrella. And then we have the author coaching, and we just birthed our comic strip division. So that just happened within the last 30 days or so. I'm excited about that. Because I've had people approaching me about comic books, and that was an area I had not gotten into. But God had actually given me a vision for a superhero. So that's how my superhero came to life. And so that is our newest division. It's called Animate Comics. So we will be getting some more authors soon coming down the pipeline that'll be coming on getting their comic strips published with us as well. Well, comic books rather. I'm saying comic strips. That's like, that is so antiquated to say comic strips. That was back in my early young years. But now they're called comic books. So that is the newest thing that we're doing this year. So I'm excited about IBG, how it has evolved, what we have done over the years. If you knew us 10 years ago, it was only my book that had gotten published. And I still had not really put IBG together even at that time. I just wanted to get my own personal book done. and couldn't find anybody to publish it. The Lord spoke to me, told me to do it myself. That's what I did. And then everything else just evolved from there, because then people started asking me to help them, and it just started evolving. So I went back to the vision that the Lord had originally gave me. So I'm excited about
Wow.
IBG, what we do, how we service people. I love when people get that first glimpse of their book cover and they go to crying. That's like, you see your authors do that. It's like monumental to see a
Yes.
person get their book for the first time and what it does for them. So those are the things that we do.
And to know
Marketing.
that you had a part in that.
Right, exactly. So it's a life-changing thing, to help somebody have their life's dream or goal, come to pass. So it's just amazing what we do, helping people get their books published.
And not just helping them get their book published, but making their dreams come true. You mentioned that. And so as you shared, and as our viewers can hear, IBG is a wealth of information and services. There's so many services and so many products. And I have to share real quickly my testimony of working with IBG last year, because you do branding and you do rebranding and helping with marketing. And so when we first became business partners, I didn't have a website. I didn't have my writing classes. There were just so many legs to my business that I have now that I didn't have then. I knew that they were important, but I didn't understand the impact and the value of those things
Right.
being connected and alive, actually birthing them with my business. And so IBG helped me and Audra worked with me in building my websites, plural, because I have two, and also birthing my my online courses. And it's been amazing. The branding part is so critical. And you mentioned that a lot of people come into publishing and they're excited. They just want to publish the book. And then the book is published and they're just sitting there. They don't know what to do next.
Right.
And so having those follow-up services and that assistance, to guide them in how to grow and how to leverage their book is very, very important. So that's a valuable service. And it's an addition that a lot of companies don't have, or if they do, they charge an arm and a leg for it.
Right.
And so I can attest that the quality of work and the services connected to the branding and the marketing are phenomenal. So if you're an author and you publish a book and you don't know what to do next, or your book has been sitting on the shelf and it's dusty and you haven't gotten any royalty checks, or you gotten low royalty checks, or wherever you are in the process, and you just want somebody to look at the book. I know that's one of the services you offer, right? Where you will review the book to give feedback on whether or not it can be improved. Maybe you need a new cover. Maybe you need the interior to be rebranded. Whatever it is that you need, the services are available at the table of IBG. So that's amazing. I want to hop into the person behind you, the character that's behind you. I said person, but the character that's behind you. You touched on it a little bit, but because you touched on it, I want to jump right into that. Tell us who this is. Tell us what inspired this character, and what is in store.
I'm so proud. When I look at this, I just, this is one of those things that, it's in your imagination, and to see it come alive from being in your imagination, I look at it in awe, because when this first got delivered to the house, I was just looking at it. I was just laughing like, wow, I really did this. Because a lot of times we have dreams and visions, but we don't execute them. So I want to say that before I get into who she is and what she's going to be. But I want to encourage somebody, if you have a dream or a vision, execute it. And I did not personally draw this or illustrate it, but I was able to go to an illustrator, and when I explained my vision to him, he was like, wow, I've never had somebody be so detailed about what they wanted to look like. But I knew exactly what she was supposed to look like, what she was supposed to wear, down to everything. And of course she was supposed to look like me. So I gave him one of my pictures. So what inspired this character? First of all, she is a superhero. And we know that superheroes have two names, like Clark Kent, become Superman, and whatever Spider-Man's name is, I can't remember it right now. But her regular name or real name is Danae Sotera. That is her regular name. And her superhero name is Scribblina. That is her superhero name. And so she was inspired by last year, I took a part of a coaching challenge. And the coaching challenge was to develop some sort of program or offer in order to bring in more clients. And so I already had material sitting around. You had took my 21-day writers challenge. So I already had the what I call the skeleton for a book. I just had never put it together, but I wanted to teach people how to take their painful experiences and turn it into a book, a powerful book of influence, because that's what I did. I took my painful experience and I turned it into a book to help to bless somebody else's life. And so that was the premise for putting that coaching program together in that book. So it started off as Right to Empower. And that's WRITE, Right to Empower. And so after I was putting it together, I was like, I want to put a superhero just came to me. And I was just like, she's going to rescue people who are in pain, who want to write their book, but they're in pain and they don't know how. So that is the whole premise behind Scribblina. She goes and she rescues people who are trying to write, but they can't because they're dealing with so much pain from their past, their experience. So she's teaching them how to take that pain and put it into a book. And so that is the whole premise of where she comes from. Her name is actually my middle name and my mother's name. My mother's name is pronounced Denee, Denee, but I took a twist on it and we're pronouncing it as Danae. So she is Danae Sotera, aka Scribblina. I have written the first 3 books, or I've outlined. I'm not going to say written, but I pretty much outlined the first 3 books in the series. So I'm believing it's going to drop sometime around June or July. The reason why I held off, because I wanted to release it for my birthday, but after I got with the illustrator and they told me how long it would take to get it done, I was like, I don't want to rush it. I want to put it out. I want it to be right. I want it to be good. So she'll be dropping sometime in June or July. Haven't made a finality on it yet, but I'm still exploring. This is a whole new world. I've never done comics before. So it's a whole new world. I'm exploring it. I'm excited about it because I'm sure it's gonna open up doors. I see movie. I see the movie coming. I see the doll. I think, was it you? Somebody said to me they saw an action figure. So
I
there's
see it. Somebody else may have said it, but I did say it and I see it.
somebody said to me, I think it was you, that said you saw the action figure. So eventually there will be a action figure doll. We're also going to do all kind of paraphernalia. If anybody follows me on social media, my birthday party was themed after her. So everything on the candied sweets table had her picture all over it. It was absolutely beautiful. So eventually it'll be party wear. I see this being a literacy campaign, going into the schools with children, teaching them how to be empowered to write books, because how often do we encourage children at a young age to write books? So I see her going into the schools, and eventually I'm gonna have to lose weight so I can look like that. Because I ain't quite got it that tight yet. But the costume, showing up at birthday parties, so the sky's gonna be the limit with this. So that is the whole premise of where Scribblina came from, what she's gonna do, what she's gonna become. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited that I executed this. Like, that part right there is enough for me, that I took the initiative to make this happen, because a lot of times, we don't step out on what we believe. So it eventually will introduce her love interest. She has a love interest coming. There's going to be superhero friends that I'm creating. So I've got 2 of those in the making. So it's going to be phenomenal. I really believe she's going to be big for me. I really do.
Well, I'm excited about it, and I love the theme "Right to Empower." I think it's so important, and I don't know if you remember with our company, my writing program is Right to Heal, and so there's different levels. Writing is just so therapeutic, and
Yes,
and and
yes.
being empowered to write. I mean, there is an element of healing that has to happen, but just having that empowerment. That push, to
Yeah,
be empowered to write. And like you said, going into the schools, my goodness, and children, teaching children how to do it. That's where it starts. Because if we can nip some things in the bud early, we can
right.
avoid some of the things later in life. Because, with I work with adults, they're
Yeah,
already messed up and damaged,
right,
and having to go back to childhood. And
right.
and now we're writing about those painful things. Now we're talking about, we're talking about it, we're getting it out. Whereas if they start early, I believe that it's going to create a pathway where, we'll see healing taking place sooner. We'll see some
Right.
things being avoided because they're learning how to write it out. And that
Mhm.
writing eventually leads to you talking about it. I know for
Right,
me, sharing my story with writing it, then it freed me to talk about it. And
right.
and now it's so easy, it doesn't even make sense. But it was
Mhm.
getting over that initial hump and being empowered to write about it first. So
Right.
I love, love, love that. I love that. I mean, I
Yes.
see I see the doll, and I'll get me a doll. I don't like dolls and toys, and I'm not even gonna go there with my opinion on it. But I will get a Scribblina doll for support, keep it in the box as a collector's item just because I have to support.
Right, right. Yes, I love it. I love it. Just piggybacking off of what you said, I saw a post from a mother, and her caption of her daughter was she wants to give her a childhood she doesn't have to heal from. And
Ooh,
yeah, yeah, I was loving her saying that, because a lot of parents don't take that approach with their children. And it's like you said, when you become an adult and you've got all these issues and all these things going on, you have to get to a place of going back to childhood to dig up
mm,
where all this originated from. So to hear her say she wanted to give her daughter a childhood she didn't have to heal from, that was like phenomenal to me. And her daughter is actually already an author, actually.
wow.
So yes, so I thought that was a good post when I saw that.
That's deep. And that's something that, if, like you said, working with children, if we can teach that at an early
Mhm.
age, because unfortunately, there are a lot of parents that are raising children who are wounded because the parents are wounded.
Right,
And,
right.
and some of them don't even realize that they're wounded, right? And so they're raising
Mhm.
from this broken, wounded place, and we're raising broken and wounded little humans that turn into adult
Right.
humans that are repeating the same cycle.
Mhm.
And I didn't even realize I mean, I don't want to get into that and shift away from our focus, but how many people are
Mhm.
damaged. How
Mhm.
many? I mean, we all have a story, but the
Right.
depths of some of the wounds, I'm like, it's almost abnormal to hear somebody who had a good upbringing in childhood now,
Yeah.
because I've heard people with traumatic backgrounds more frequently than someone just raised in a happy, healthy two-parent
Right.
loving home. And it's
Mhm.
scary, right? Because
Yep.
these are the people who are leading our nation. These are the
Right.
people who are starting and running businesses. These are the people who are
Mhm.
babysitting our children, delivering our babies,
Yeah.
messed up, hurt, broken, and wounded.
Mhm.
So the premise behind it is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Very proud.
Yeah.
I love it. So let's talk about some of your book projects, because you are an author, you are an international best-selling author, and you birthed your business in your authorship. So let's talk about your books. Let's talk about, how about you tell us one of your books that's your favorite, and one of your books that was probably the most difficult to write and birth, and then one that was fun. And I'm gonna write that down so we don't forget. So your favorite, your favorite, the most difficult to birth, and then one that was fun for you.
The most difficult was the first book. And that's because the first book, you just don't know what to expect. That's part of it. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how it's going to be received. You don't know nothing about getting into the publishing world at all. So you got
Mhm.
all of that. And then you have the caveat of exposing your personal life to people to have their opinion about your personal story on top of all of that anxiety. So the first one was definitely the hardest to write. It took the longest to write because it was actually 10 years in the making before it was even published. And that's because I was healing from, the loss of my son and my grandmother, which is what the first book is about. And so I tell the story, but I don't just tell the story. I also give teaching on how to identify grief and depression and how to know that you are grieving and how to know how to overcome, because we're not taught how to grieve. And I don't think we're taught in many cultures, or some cultures grieve differently or have certain things they do to grieve. But in the American culture, and especially for us, Black race, we're not taught how to grieve. we're
Mhm.
we're taught to carry on, shake it off. You got to go back to work. You got to go back to doing everyday life activities. So we don't know how to take that time out to grieve the loss that we experience. And so that was the hardest book to write, because again, I was exposing myself. I was telling my story. I was reliving the story every time I read it. And even last year, I rebirthed the book because it went through a couple phases of changes with the cover, the interior, and all of that. And so I had to redo the book. And that was like rebirthing it all over again. So it was just like a 2 or 3 week span of just going through, reliving that time frame because, just being honest, I don't sit and read my books every day, so
Right.
reliving it and revisiting it line by line, that was very challenging. So it was the hardest to put out, the hardest to do. The one I love the most is probably going to be The Vow. And
Oh, let me. I don't mean to cut you off, dear, but tell everyone the title of the first book.
oh,
I
the
know it,
first book.
but tell the title.
Right. The first book is entitled Through the Fire. That's the first book. It's Through the
Yeah.
Fire, uncovering or recovering the ruins of her broken life. That's the new title of the first book. So it's Through the Fire. It's my personal story, journey, getting through grief and depression, but coming out victorious. Because if you look at me today, you would never have known what I've gone through as it pertains to that incident. So that is the title of the first book, Through the Fire. The book I probably enjoy the most is The Vow, and The Vow was released around this time last year, around May.
Mhm.
And Through the Vow was not a planned book. Most of my books are not planned. Let me add that caveat. I don't plan my books all the time, but I like The Vow the most because it's a self-help tool for women to make vows to ourselves. If we make the vow to ourselves first, then everybody who comes into our sphere of influence will respect the vows that we have made. And so it was unplanned. And you recall, you and I had a conversation, and I was just like, yeah, I made these vows to myself and I had written them down. And you were like, oh, I think that's a good idea. You should share it. I'm like, oh, I wasn't planning on sharing that. So I enjoyed it the most because of the response that was given from it. That, women were really taking an honest look at themselves and taking a look at things that they hadn't even thought about or hadn't
Mhm.
even considered that they should be, vowing to do better in their personal life. So I like the results that it was giving women. I know it's not done yet. It's going to be circulating to other countries. Soon I will be, I'm throwing this in there, but soon I'll be having my books translated into Swahili, because some don't know that I will be doing Africa soon. Within the next 6 months or so, I'll be traveling to Africa again. And so the region that I'm going to, they predominantly speak Swahili. So
Mhm.
it's necessary to start translating my books. So and it's going to be specifically ministry gear for women. So you pulling on me, and I have to say that again. I know I've said it before, and the book's dedicated to you and all that good stuff. But I have to say again, the pull that you did on me, I didn't know how it was going to, transpire over the coming year or years to come. that
Mhm.
God would use it as a tool to help women, shape their life up in the right direction. So I like the vow the most for those reasons, because it's not a book. Everybody who got the book, they thought they were just going to get a book that they were just going to read. It was just going to be a simple journal, just write some stuff here and there. But then when they got it, they were like, oh, wait, I got to work. So I think,
Yeah, it was work. Like, I mean, open it, you read a part and you close it work. Like, oh wait, I gotta think about that. Or I gotta process that, because
right.
it is work. It's a
Mhm.
workbook for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't even intend for it to be that intensive, honestly. But it was like, as I started developing it, I'm very thorough. Everything I do is very thorough, and I'm a teacher by nature. So, it just flowed that way. And I even went in, I can go grab my copy of it. I've gone through and done the work on it too. I'm
Mhm.
actually getting ready to pull it out again and do it again, because I feel like every year we should be doing work on ourselves. We should
Yes.
never let a year go by that we don't make some sort of changes and improvement. We're always evolving. Last year, the Lord told me that was a year of evolution, that we would evolve, and we did. Nobody is doing anything now that they were doing this time last year. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
even in the same location that I was now that I was last year. This was not here last year, So we should always be evolving, changing, doing something different, and so that's the one I love the most, the vow. That's the one I love the most. Which one was the most fun? Hmm. That's a good one.
Like you had a good time putting it together or writing it or
I'm gonna say it was red flags.
I was
I
thinking that one.
I'm gonna say red flags, and the reason why is because I kind of started red flags off on a humorous note, telling the story about how I met my ex-husband, and how he just jumped up into my life and pretty much wrecked my life. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny when it was going on. But I think that was the most fun to put together, because it challenged me in the sense of, not only am I talking about what happened, because again, there's nothing that we have learned or gone through that we shouldn't be teaching someone else. The
Mhm.
Bible says, when we are converted, strengthen your brother. So there's nothing that we've gone through that we shouldn't be using as a tool to help someone else. I think we say you live it, you learn it, you teach it. I think that's the saying that we say. So
Mhm.
I put it together for the sense of teaching. But what it also started doing was teaching me different types of love that I hadn't even taken a look at, or realized that there are different types of love. And then also, the fact that God gave me a twist on it. We talked about this when Tanisha interviewed me, and we talked about, you get the red flags and you take off running. And the
Mhm.
Lord said, you don't always take off running, because no one's going to be perfect when you get with them. But if that person is willing to address the red flags, then there could be a possibility that the relationship could continue.
Mhm.
So when we hear red flags, in any situation, not just relationships, we're quick to say, let me take off running. But what if this person is willing to deal with their issue and willing to get free or delivered from whatever issue that they have? Do you just drop them and run? Or do you help them overcome their issue, whichever is, the ability that you have to assist them in overcoming it? Now, we know we can't fix everything, and I'm not telling you to fix everything. But what I'm saying is if there is a red flag that comes up, then you have the ability to see if that person wants to be delivered. Do they want to be healed? Do they want to be free? Then I can't drop you where you are, because I'm supposed to strengthen my brother.
Right.
So I
And that
think
was
that was.
big. That's such a profound fact. I know we're not here to focus on that one book, but I remember when I heard that, it was like, whoa. Like you said, we hear red and we think run. But red, even at a stop sign or a stoplight, it means stop. It's to catch
Mm,
your attention. It's for you to pause and to reflect. And then you have to determine, of course, depending on what the flag is, like you said, is this something that can be worked on? And is this person willing to work on it? Some of them are so bright red and the warning is so huge that it might be too much. But
Right.
there are some things that, you know how we make our lists. We
Right.
women, you make a list and we have all these things on the list and oh, because he got a hairy chest, that's a red flag. No, like no, you can work with him if everything else, you know what I mean? Like there are some
Right.
things that really can be worked on and worked through. So that was a big point for me to take from the book when I heard you teach on that I
Yeah.
had never heard before.
And I had never heard it because up until that point, like I said, I was taking off running. Oh, he got that issue. Next.
Right.
Until God actually showed me, and actually was in a relationship that the Lord showed me in that relationship, that person was willing to deal with the red flag. And I had not saw that before. And that was where God gave me the twist of, like I said, the plot thickened or the plot changed, when he told me if that person is willing to deal with it, then deal with it. Now, if they
Yeah.
don't want to deal with it, then some things do become deal breakers where you just got to let it go and keep on moving,
Right.
but if that person is willing to deal with that issue, and really get free, that's the key. They got to really get free. They got to really get delivered. And the signs of somebody really being free from something. The signs. Just like the signs that they're in it, the sign when somebody's really truly free from it. And some things take time. Sometimes you got to give something time to develop. But if it's not developing properly, you got to let it go. So that was the book that I would say was the most fun to write. It wasn't even challenging as I thought it would be, because I thought when I was writing it, the Lord would have me share more intimate details about my ex, but it wasn't necessary, to expose him in certain areas. It was just necessary enough to say, this is what I went through, and this is what you have to watch out for, going into these relationships. So I think that was the most fun to write, so to speak.
Nice, nice, nice. I love it. A thought just came to me, and I don't think I've ever heard you respond to this, but tell us what inspired you to start the Working Wednesdays broadcast. I know that this is the relaunch, and we're going into your season 3, and you took some time off from it. But what inspired the whole vision for Working Wednesdays? Especially it being, a platform where the people you bring on, I mean, it's such a blessing because you don't charge. The exposure is international because you've got a network across the globe, literally. I mean, Japan, Africa, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
the exposure is so widespread and it just introduces business owners, authors, and ministry leaders to a whole new world. And so, what inspired you to birth this platform itself?
Um, 2 years ago when I started it, I had the Ibg Writers Group, which eventually I'm going to get back to relaunching it, but I got to put some things in place. But I had the Ibg Writers Group, and what I was learning from having that group as well as others is that people did not have exposure for their books.
Okay.
There wasn't a platform where, and I'm not saying it didn't exist, but it was few far and in between at that time. You see more people popping up now doing books interviews, but at that time it was not a popular thing to bring people on to do interviews about books. And so it was just simply built from the premise that people needed exposure. And talking to authors, their books would sell good when they first launched them, and then they would go flat and they couldn't understand why. And I'm like, you're not getting the exposure, which kind of like birthed the whole marketing for IBG, teaching people how to market, get out there. It really was just at that time, it was every day of the week, I had a different theme. And Wednesday was just working the work. Wednesdays is a day that we work. So it just turned into Working Wednesdays because that was a day that inside the group, that was the day that we were doing the work to go with our book for marketing, getting it done, or whatever the case was. But it just simply was because I wanted to give people exposure. And then when you're done with being on the platform, you can use that interview on your website. If you have a YouTube channel, social media, it just gives exposure to people to what you're doing. Tell them about your book, who you are, things of that nature. So that's just simply what it was built on.
Okay.
Just wanted to give people exposure. And I didn't want to charge people because I just don't feel like it was necessary. And I still really don't. Now, when we develop more and go, on a more different scale, we may, but I still don't see that happening because, again, I want people to be able to get the exposure that they need. And sometimes when you're starting out as an author, you can't afford to pay to be on these platforms. And
Right.
I learned last year that you can pay to be on a platform and they don't even give what they promise. So you paid money and you didn't even get the exposure or the ROI, return on investment, because you didn't even get one person to go buy your book, but you pay X amount of dollars to be on that platform. So you should at least be able to recoup what you spent.
Right.
So I just don't feel it's necessary to charge people, especially when you have the resources and the ability to do things. Some things I think we should just learn how to be a blessing, about. And that's just simple as that. And it's going to be the same for this season. I wasn't even calling it seasons until one of the things God gave me last year was IBG Productions, and I didn't talk about that. But IBG Productions will eventually turn into movies, TV series, all that kind of good stuff. So this is kind of like one of the shows that will be on IBG TV, so to speak. So I just believe in being a blessing. When we have the ability to do so, I think that we should. There's other things I make plenty of money off of, so I don't feel like this is something I need to make money off of. Is it, and I do be needing a break because last year I think I went 6 months straight with it or something like that. Yeah, it was like 6 months, February through August. Yeah, so it was like 6 months straight every single Wednesday. So I needed that time off. But now that I've taken the time off, I'm ready to jump back in, get some more things going because, like I said, it's evolving into something much larger,
Mhm.
so, and
And
then we've been,
I was just going to insert, I believe that it's evolving because when you're faithful in little, what happens? You
rule
were
over many.
been dedicated to it. You've been
Hmm.
committed to it, even though you weren't being compensated for it. This
Right.
was you were sowing, and so I believe God has and will honor your faithfulness and what you've
Hmm.
sown to other people by allowing them to come on the platform, giving them this space, having them to be connected to other people,
Right.
and to promote their business, their book, and their ministry.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that it builds relationships, and relationships are built off of things like that. And just for an example, Dr. Rochelle McMillan, who's on the Ladies Delight platform, she started off as a guest on the Working Wednesdays.
Okay.
That's where she and I originally met. And at that time, because of the topic she was talking about and the topic the Lord had given me, I said to her, I said, at some point, I want to gather women together to talk about these kinds of subjects. And then here comes, so many months later, here comes the Ladies Delight.
Wow.
So that's how that relationship built off of this platform, and so many others. Because what happens is when you come on this platform, somebody else interviewing sees you, and then now you're going on their platform, and it
Mhm.
becomes a springboard. So I'm grateful to God for the idea of it. I never really saw myself as a TV person because I just never did, but we never know what God has in store, like you said, when you start sowing those seeds. And I also learned that it did a lot for people's self-esteem, to be on a platform, not just this platform, but when you get invited onto a platform, it helps you see yourself in a different light. It helps you see what you have is valuable, that somebody cares about what I have. Because again, I know that whole, I put my book out, is great when it first launches, but now nobody cares about it anymore. I know that whole scenario. And 10 years ago, there were absolutely no platforms like this. Absolutely. So there was nowhere for me to go on and be interviewed and get exposure. There was some radio shows, here and there, but for the most part, there was no platform that they were just talking about books, so it's innovative in that sense.
And I love it. I love it. I'm listening just to everything that there's so many wheels turning. They're all connected. They're all powerful and they're all good, but how do you do it? How do you do it all? How do you juggle them all? How do you wear so many hats and still, even as just an author, that's a lot of work. Just being an author to release your own books, let alone publishing other people, let alone, the many different legs and wings, managing the broadcast. And then we'll go into it in a moment, but even your school, your institute, how do you do it? And after you answer how you do it, jump right into telling us about the institute.
I've learned to put things on automation. That's what I have learned. Automation helps to simplify life. And so in the last 3 or 4 months, I tapped into more automation. Because even now with the show now, when I look at when I first started versus now, I remember going back and forth over emails with people, hounding people for photos and turning your bio and all that on and on. And now it's, if you want to be on the show, you submit that information immediately. And once you submit it, you get a link to schedule yourself for an interview. So that takes me out of that equation of back and forth with email. So I've learned how to automate things. I've learned how to use project management boards, and they are such lifesavers. Like, I don't know why I wasn't using it this time last year, you know. So that's one of the ways I stay organized. Soon and very soon, I'm looking forward to God blessing me with an assistant, because I know that I can no longer do this on my own. I'm actually, she know it or don't know it, she being groomed in the background because, taking the institute back up, honestly, I let it sit for a lot of years because it's just a lot of work, you know. So I need someone to come in and help fill those gaps. But again, it's the automation that once you've set your system up and you get your system in place, as long as your system is good, you can run on autopilot. So that's the main way that I handle so much of what I do. But getting into the institute will be relaunching this Friday, the 9th of April. We will be relaunching the Prophecy 101 class. I have been teaching that class since 2014. So it hasn't launched in probably about 3 or 4 years now. But I'm relaunching it because there's just a need for it. There are people, this pandemic has switched everybody up so much. People are not doing church like they used to, they're not doing Bible study like they used to. Everything's online. So it actually has provided someone like me who's been doing this for years. Like, everybody's jumping on the online train, but I've been doing e-church and e-ministry since 2007, 2008. And I got laughed at because I stopped meeting I was doing a church at that time, and I stopped the church from meeting every week, and we went from locally meeting to meeting on a conference line. And then we came together once a month physically. I was doing that in 2007, 2008. And I was being laughed at, told you can't grow a church that way, it won't last, blah, blah, blah. But now everybody is doing that now, so it's given, someone like me the ability to relaunch, do the institute. It is a full-fledged institute. We teach classes anywhere from prophecy to leadership to licensing and training for those who have a call to ministry. We teach classes like that. We teach the School of the Prophets, spiritual gifts. Those are the predominant things that we teach, because the mandate that the Lord gave me is, a lot of times people have spiritual gifts and they have abilities, but they don't know how to go about operating these things with a biblical knowledge. So it's mostly to give people the biblical side of the spiritual things of God and how to connect the two so that we are balanced. And my passion for it also is because when I was coming up in the ranks in the early 2000s, 98, I got saved in 98. So going from 98 to the early 2000s, nobody trained me in the prophetic. I did a lot of hit and miss. I did a lot of figuring it out as I go along. And so God gave me a burden to teach people so that they don't go through the same, pitfalls that I went through. And so that is where a lot of my passion comes from. It started off with just Prophecy 101, and then it evolved into the other classes that are now available. And you can always visit our website at theambassadorsinstitute.org, and you can learn more about the classes and what we do and what we offer. But that particular class launches Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested, inbox me. We have a business page called the Ambassadors Institute of Divinity. So you can go there, get information. The flyers out there, the link is out there, all that good stuff. I am offering 50% off. The class is $99, but I'm offering 50% off where you can take it for $49. But you have to do that by reaching out to me. If you go to the link, it's not going to be on the link. But if you want it for half off, you can, inbox me and take it. It's a 4-week course. Well, actually, it's in between 4 to 6 weeks. But for 4 to 6 weeks for $50, you can't beat that with 2 sticks. Because the knowledge and the information that we give and the way that everything is structured, you're going to feel like you just joined a real college because it's just on that level. Everybody who's taken any of my courses are like, whoa, I feel like I just went to college. I'm like, yeah, you did. So that's just how God has anointed me on a collegiate level, so to speak. But anything I put out, it has a spirit of excellence because that's how I was spiritually raised. The people and the leaders who raised me spiritually raised me with a spirit of excellence. And so it just, trickles across everything that I do. But that is the Ambassadors Institute of Divinity.
Another leg, another wing, another avenue.
Yes.
to help people, to empower people, to lead people closer to God, and to help them recognize and then walk in their gifts. Right? It's all
Yes.
connected to that. I'm just amazed. I mean, everything you're saying, I already know about you. even some of the announcements you've made, some are new, but a lot of it I already know that it was in the works. And so I just have to say that I am super proud and amazed at, the growth. Like you said, what was going on last year is like, it's a whole nother level this year. And everybody connected to you that I know at least we've leveled up. And that's how everything my hands touch is blessed and has to prosper. And I know, again, from those that we're connected to mutually, there's been a level up. And so that's the key. You mentioned that, and what you were talking about is growth. We're supposed to be growing. Our businesses are supposed to, our books are supposed to be growing. The book to be released and just, oh, you did it and go put it on the shelf. What's next? Let me just throw that plug in there again for those of you who may be already published authors and your book hasn't been selling, or you haven't done anything new with it. You don't know how to leverage your book or how to brand yourself. IBG offers rebranding, and it may be time to have your book looked at because it wasn't intended for you to just, oh, I just published it.
Right.
And you're not supposed to sell. Like, that's not why God gives us our gifts. That's not make room for us and bring us before great men. He's given us the power to get wealth. So all these things are connected to what he wants to do in our life. And so you can take your book to another level, but you have to take the steps because every year we should be growing. And as you can see, it's a new year for IBG. It's a new year for Working Wednesdays. It's a new year for Audrea. We're celebrating birthdays and relaunches and new launches. And that's how it's supposed to be. We should be able to look back 12 months and see growth. Anything that's alive is going to, it won't grow. So
yes.
I want to explore it because I mean it's dead, because anything alive is going to. So I'm just amazed and very, very godly proud. If that's such thing. I hear people say it, but I'm though of your accomplishments and proud of your tenacity and proud of your fight, because a lot of times people don't know behind the scenes, but together over the last year, and just to see the outer, it wasn't birthed easily. It took work. It took late nights up. It took crying. It took praying. It took being disciplined. It took walking in self-control. It took, like, so many people filled with dreams and ideas and goals, and you thinking about writing a book. Write it. Like, there's
Right.
so much we have to birth. And so to see you giving birth, I love it. And I'm inspired by it, encouraged by it, and just really thankful and proud of you. I'm just proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's, that's a blessing to hear that. And, I have to have someone sitting here with me who's seen me on the backside. Because, there was some times last year you had to talk me off the ledge too. I say Apostle Stephen had to talk me off the ledge, but you had to talk me off the ledge a couple times too. Because I was going to,
We've done it for you. That's what
yeah,
it's supposed to.
yeah. So, I'm grateful for our friendship. And you're right. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that people just don't know. They just don't understand it's just challenging. And today was one of those challenging days. I had to make some decisions about my personal life, because it's a sacrifice to do all that I do, to, not have anyone, I don't have anyone physically around me to encourage or motivate. So I have to pull from within. I have to pull from within. I have to pull from, your words of encouragement that you may say, or somebody else saying, I'm proud of you, because it's just a lot, that you deal with. And the thing about it is people don't understand. I didn't ask God for all that he gave me. I did not ask for all of this, but he gave it to me anyway. And I said to somebody, can you imagine if, I always go back to the fire because that's just my beginning. That's my place of reference. And could you imagine that if I hadn't woken up that night and I had died in the fire, all of this would have died in the fire. It would have gone away. And so that's why I'm so big on people, living their purpose, understanding why God brought you here. I think it's Miles Monroe that said, no, not Miles Monroe, Les Brown, who says there's so many things sitting in the graveyards, so many books, so many businesses, so many visions are sitting in graveyards. And when I go, there will be nothing nobody can snatch off of my grave. Nobody will be able to snatch nothing from my grave. It is all going to be gone with me, so I'm grateful to God, for what he has entrusted me with, because there is a level of trust that comes with everything that, I do. And so I'm grateful for the level of trust that God has given me, that I can give as much as I do. That's why I don't mind sowing. That's why I don't mind helping. I don't mind giving, because I know what was freely given to me. So.
I want to touch on that really briefly. You talked about making reference to the fire. And so it made me think of my own fire, so to speak. It wasn't a fire, but it was a suicide attempt. And it was something that, like we talked about, the writing to empower, writing to heal. I had to write about it before I could talk about it, for that freedom to have. That was, I think, like your fire for me. I go back to that and think, had I died in that moment,
Yeah.
written my first book, I hadn't birthed my course, I hadn't done the anthology you know what I mean? I just hadn't done what I've done since then. And so if I can just encourage our viewers, no matter what you've been through, no matter, what has happened to you, if you look at it as a point of reference and realize that had that thing not happened, had that thing killed you, or had that thing taken you out, what wouldn't have happened? Where you want to be, but you're still here. We're still in the pandemic. It's dying down, but we're still considered in a pandemic. And I mean, I don't even know how many people lost their lives in this last year, but we're still here. If you're watching this broadcast, listening to it, replaying it, we're still here. And it means you still have purpose. There's still work for you to do. There's still time. Sometimes we late. It's too late to go back to school. It's too late to public. If you're still here, it's not too late.
Yes.
There's some of the greatest, and I don't know them. You're gonna have to Google it. But some of the greatest business owners, I think like Walt Disney, some of the greatest, right, that have the world standards of being great and successful. They started way later than we think. We think by sort of that age, we're supposed to have accomplished X, Y,
Right.
Z. Who said? Who said? Sometimes we have to live a little to gain some wisdom, right? And some experience, because sometimes we have our what's in us is bigger than us. It's so much bigger than us, and a lot of times we lack the character to maintain it. So years ago, like had your company been birthed when you were a mother, you might not have been able to maintain it. Things that I've birthed, had I did it 5, 10 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to maintain it because we lacked what we needed to maintain it now. So I just want to encourage the viewers the same thing. Don't worry about what you haven't accomplished. You're still here and have time to accomplish. And they're available. You've got a resource here tonight. You've got IBG Publications. I encourage you to log on to the website, www.ibgpublications.com, and browse around. And even if you see something, a service that may not include everything that you need, reach out to Audra and find out if it's something that, you know, a service that she can provide, because she's a life coach as well. She's a ordained minister. And so even if she can't help you, she's probably connected to someone who can. And that's what it's about. It's connecting to the right people so that you can get to where you're supposed to go.
Amen. I just want to draw our viewers in because we hadn't acknowledged who's online with us. But let's acknowledge our viewers tonight. So I see a Shate Ling. She is logged in and watching. Tam. Hey, Tam. Hey, sister. How are you? Let's see. My African friend. I'm going to call his middle name because I don't want to mess up his first name, but Favor. God bless you, Favor. Thank you for joining in. Mel Holly. I saw she got a top fan badge. So she's a top fan of IBG. So I love that. Let's see. My Aunt Ducey. Hey, Aunt Ducey. How are you? Good evening. Tawana. Hey, Tawana. Good evening. Nadira. Hey, Nadira. How are you, Nadira? We got to get you back on the show again. She was on last season. I like being able to say last season. She was on last season. And you were on last season too, Tanya. We got to get you back on too.
Thank you.
Let's see. Dorica Collier. God bless you. Thank you for joining. Yes. All right, Mel. I'll be looking for you. She said she's going to be reaching out. So good stuff. Good stuff. And she says, I can relate. Amen. Absolutely. Thank you, Nadira. She says, I'm super proud of all your accomplishments. Yes. Tawana says, yes, ma'am. And that's how you teach me. That's so true. You do everything in excellence. Yes. And I must say that, you know, people look at numbers, but I recall some years ago, the Lord said to me, and I think I was throwing a party or something. And the Lord said to me, he said, if you sit and worry about who's not here, he said, you won't be able to appreciate who is here. And ever since he said that to me, I stopped looking at numbers and I started looking at who is here at this moment that I can celebrate with in this moment. Because if I keep looking for who didn't come, then the people who are there won't be appreciated for their presence. And so I stopped looking at numbers for that reason, because it's not always in the numbers, it's in the quality, you know. So I'm grateful to God to be here at this moment.
That you're sowing into, pouring into, and that what one person may be connected to 25. You know what I mean? So again, it doesn't matter, because if you reach that one person you're supposed to reach, whoever they're assigned to, and then it becomes a domino effect, a ripple effect. Everyone gets what they're supposed to get. So I love that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, again, I want to thank everyone, just like Audra did, for tuning in. Those who hopped on and had to leave, those who came in late. I am Tanya DeFreitas, your guest host tonight on the Working Wednesdays platform, interviewing the founder of this platform and the founder and CEO of IBG Publications, Audrea V. If you missed some of the conversation, we encourage you to go back and replay so that you can learn more about Audrea, learn more about the company, learn more about the services and products that IBG has to offer, because I guarantee there's something something in it for you to help you live your dream and walk in your purpose. So do go back and replay and reach out. Again, check out www.ibgpublications.com and feel free to reach out to Audra and her team with any questions you have. If you see something you're not sure about, and get on the show. Working Wednesdays is open. You can apply to be on the show. Some are invited and some apply, but you can apply through the website to feature your book, your business, or your ministry. Come on and have a candid conversation with Audra about your book, your business, or your ministry. That's what it's here for. Audra, do you have any final words? Anything that you want to share that we didn't cover, or just any closing words for our guest tonight?
Just a reminder of how to reach us. We are on the IBG Publications platform, so you can always inbox us there. You can also visit the website, like Tanya said. We do have a YouTube channel, and you can go to our YouTube channel, get caught up on all of the past interviews that we've done for the first 2 seasons are there. You can catch our YouTube channel. It's IBG Publications. So it's the same across all platforms. You can follow us on Instagram, IBG Publications, Twitter, same tag or social handle. So you can find us all there. If you are interested in the Ambassadors Institute of Divinity, you can go to the website. It is theambassadorsinstitute.org. So it's theambassadorsinstitute.org. That class launches Friday. So it probably will launch once a month, but we're starting off with this week. So make sure you inbox me personally or go to our page, whichever way you want to go. You can find us. You can text me at 904-419-9810. And I'll be more than happy to assist you. And we do have scholarship opportunities available. I didn't mention that, but we do have scholarships available. So if you need some help or assistance, we have ways to help you fund your education. So that is all I have for tonight.
Just a quick question, point of clarification. So the scholarships is connected to the Institute, right?
Right. Okay. Yes. The scholarships are connected to the Institute. I don't want to get into how you qualify. Just email me. It is admin at the Ambassadors Institute. It's all on the website. Just go to the website. We talk about the scholarships. You can hit that button, email us, learn more, and all that good stuff. Someone from admissions will schedule an appointment with you and get you set up to learn about those scholarship opportunities.
I love it. Well, it has been a pleasure, sis. Thank you for inviting me to the platform to be your guest host and to interview you and have a chat and get caught up on all the wonderful things that are already going on with IBG Publications and the things that are ahead. The best is yet to come. Haven't even scratched the surface yet. We see that corporate building where a lot of the things you're doing, you're going to be overseeing other people who are doing it for you because you've got so much to do and it's bigger than you. And so we need the help. To do it all.
Yes, I agree. And you know what? You just prophesied, because that was said to me about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was it was prophesied that they saw someone handing keys to me for a campus. That was prophesied to me. So that's the second time I'm hearing it. So, okay, Lord.
Get ready. You are a business woman to the heart. Let me throw that in there before we hang up, before we get off. And so get ready. Start writing your academic catalog and your all the things that are connected to institutions of higher learning. Look up what those entail and you start preparing them. And you can prepare them just like that. I already know that's just what you do. Start preparing them so that when it's time, you're ready. You have all processes in place. You have your handbooks, your academic catalog with course descriptions and tuition and all that already in a catalog format.
Catalog. I love it.
I see it. Well, our time has come to a close for this session. Welcome to season 3 of Working Wednesdays, and we are inviting you to join us next Wednesday I don't know who the guest is going to be, but you can tell them in just a moment. Join us next Wednesday and put on your calendars to tune in every Wednesday where you're going to meet a new business owner, a new author, or a new ministry leader, and you're going to learn something. Promise you're going to learn something. Even if if you have to drive and listen. When the season was active last year, I would be driving home from work and just have it on. I couldn't watch because I was driving, but I would listen to who was on and speaking. And trust me, you learn something new every time because it's new people, new adventures, new experience, new knowledge, and it'll help you in your own business. So can you tell them real quickly before we close who's featured next week? Do you have that information?
I do. Next week's guest is author Tanisha Collins. She was on, yeah, Tanisha's on next week. She actually was on last season as well. So I'll be glad to have her on live. She's written several books, and I believe she's in on your last anthology project. Yes, yes. So she'll be on talking about Brutal Courage, the remix. So I can't wait to have her on. And she's the author of the book, The Sex Dare, which is for married couples to enhance their sex life. So it's going to be a phenomenal conversation. So meet us here next time, next week, same time, same place for the Working Wednesdays broadcast. We will always be broadcasting through the IBG Publications fan page. So that's where you'll catch us live. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Yes, good evening.